For October the 5th, 2018, we talk about Hand of Fate 2, Bowsette, and we ask you which retro game you would like to see a remake for. Welcome to Level 259. My name is Kole Ross.
My name's David Maismith.
I'm Jala Prendez.
I'm Ben Merkel.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Thank you so much for tuning in, especially after our week off. It's always it's weird, right? Because it isn't until we take a week off that I realize that means it is 2 weeks without talking to any of you.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a lot of time, so I'm really happy to be back in the saddle.
I'm glad that you survived moving, Cole.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna get my grind out of the way. I've been playing a very special game called Why Do I Own This? So it's kind of one of those like an augmented reality, or as I would call it, actual reality, where you open up a box, you pull something out, you realize I don't know where this goes. Why do I own this? And you try and figure out why I own this.
Yeah. And that's when you play Little Inferno.
Yeah, I do need to get because you can do burns in this town as long as you have a fire like a fire pit or a fire ring. So I need to get one of those. I've got a shitload of newsprint to burn.
I was gonna say, just make sure it's not toxic and you're killing people.
Well, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah,
it's fine. It's fine.
No.
It'll be all right.
It'll be okay. Just toss the match and run. Yeah.
You can start your own YouTube series too, Nick, called Will It Burn?
That seems like a good way to get the cops called on you. Oh, I had a fun. I don't know. I don't think I've talked about this on any show yet. So move into the house, right? And I have my whole family helping me out. I was very, very, very lucky and privileged to have that happen, right? My mom is washing dishes, like they're doing washing up after we had dinner at my new place, just so we could be there and still be working. I'm in the bathroom. They're draining the dishwater, and it's coming up in my bathtub.
Uh-oh.
Yay.
Yay.
And that is exclusively your problem now.
Yes, it is. Shit. So, I haven't talked too much about this house. It's a nice, it's not very big, but it's 3 bedrooms, and I bought it from an older couple that flipped it. Okay. And they've touched like every system in this thing. Like I bought it thinking there were going to be no projects. It'll be A-okay fine. Turns out there was a root in the sewer pipe. Had to call Roto-Rooter out. $1,000 later, hi, I can shit in my own home.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's the thing about houses is that you exist in them and things start breaking or need to be adjusted or something. Yeah. And then like you try to remodel or update or something, and then you find out a whole bunch of other shit needs to be done too. Like, yeah, my dad remodeled every house that we've ever lived in because he used to own his own remodeling business, and therefore I'm very well acquainted with how much work goes in whenever you move into any house.
Yeah. So
yeah, I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah, that was fun, except like the first 2 nights where I could have slept in my house, when my bed and stuff was here. I couldn't. I had to sleep in my mom's house, like I was like I was a fucking high schooler. Oh, yeah. Oh well, but I was lucky to have a place to be. So, no, it was just very funny. Like, I have this very nice house. I've got all my stuff in it, but I can't poop anywhere. So, yeah, well.
You have a backyard now, Cole. You can make the rules. You can poop wherever you want to.
Yeah, well, well, I was talking about this, like when the Roto-Rooter guys were out, they were like, okay, well, the root is in, and I'm sorry, I know like these new stories, like house stories are less relatable even than new kid stories. So I apologize, but they're like, yeah, like the root is back in toward the house. And I was like, yeah, that is okay. And I said, so is liquid waste fine? They're like, yeah, you should be fine. I'm like, solid waste, should I just poop in the clean out pipe out in front of the house? And they're like, well, I said, no, that might be a little bit too aggressive to the new neighbors. So,
oh man.
Oh well. Yeah, so that's my story. Jala, how are you?
Well, I have some things to say. First off, I am now fully ready to train folks online.
Ooh.
So if you are interested in seeing what online training can do for you, you can find out more at fireheartfitness.com. I also have a weekly wellness blog where I cover different topics, and you can get that delivered to your inbox if you want by signing up for my mailing list. The intention is basically to eventually do special challenges, like special challenge workouts for free and giveaways and stuff, but I'm not going to start doing any of that until I get more folks on the list for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's a thing you want to see, it's free, and you can unsubscribe if you want to, but basically I only send out an email when I have a new blog post up right now, and that way you just get a link to it that tells you what's going on. So I've covered various different topics so far, so like different things like hydration, should you train when you're sick. This week's was all about sleep. The thing that is very important to wellness that is drastically underrated in our society. So yeah. So it's not all just workout related. There are other types of wellness topics brought up in those posts. I'm also still making the art at Neon Sky Studio, and I currently do not have any commissions on my plate, so I'm working on a watercolor of a cosplayer that I like and his gender swapped male son from Mononoke Hime. So you can watch that on my Neon Sky Studio feed. And if you want to buy art, I've got a link to my store on my web. And of course, you can contact me if you want to talk about a commission. Talking about your ideas and working up estimates is free. So no problem with that. You know, like if you just want to ask, you can ask. It's not going to hurt anything. And I'm not going to be like, you must go. Why aren't you buying it? No, like it's fine. You can just ask me about it. It's cool.
On that hustle.
Yeah, right. So now that I'm done pimping all those services, I'll tell you what I've been up to. Like other than teaching people fitness in person, which I have been doing, I also was asked to serve as ATL or assistant team lead on Operation Enduring Warriors City Ruck Tour. And OEW is basically an organization that helps wounded service people who have lost limbs or have other impairments such as blindness that were caused in the line of duty. Help them keep their former active lifestyle by participating in Spartan races, endurance events, diving, rock climbing, you name it. Folks from OEW will run the races and do the activities or events with them and assist them as needed. Like if not you guys specifically, but like if listeners have ever done a Spartan race or have watched a Spartan race and seen the dudes in gas masks and stuff, that's people from OEW. So it's 100% volunteer driven. And as somebody who is somebody who, you know, I've been close to people who are, you know, service persons of some stripe. I've had some in my own family. I was married to one several years ago. So this is something that is near and dear to my heart. So I was more than happy to help with that.
That's really cool.
So yeah, and we rucked 10 miles at a really easy pace around Midtown into downtown Houston, and we stopped at a couple of bars for some drinks and to pick some folks up who just wanted to start a little later or only do part of the event. And we stopped by the jail and the police department where officers came out and told us about their experiences and their comrades who, you know, were wounded and, you know, how they were having to adjust. And you know, they were basically really, really amazingly grateful and happy to just have anybody support them because there's so much negative news out there right now about police in general. You know, not so much in Houston, but like in general, you know, all over the nation, bad stuff. So I'm friends with a bunch of different officers, and there's some that are in Camp Gladiator that I actually teach fitness to, as a matter of fact. And I ruck with some of them, and, you know, like they're all really sweet people. So, I mean, I can't say that my personal experiences have ever been as bad as some of the other people that I know. Like, like when I was mentioning it in the wellness channel, for example, there were a couple of people who were like, well, I've only ever had terrible experiences with cops. And I'm like, well, I understand, you know, like I understand. I have not had that experience. Yeah. So But we did have some officers and veterans rucking with us too. And when we finished out our event at the Fallen Service Persons Memorial, they all took a turn to say what the event meant to them. And it was really nice because they were all very touched by the friendship that the event promoted, and, talked about wanting to bridge the us and them gap and bring more understanding between, like, the service people and, like, everybody else, because there really is like a very hard, sometimes a very hard dividing line between the two that makes it very difficult for one to integrate with the other comfortably. And, so
I know what you were saying was incredibly sweet and very positive and constructive. When you said, and then we took them by the police station and the jail, I thought things were going to take a turn. Like, it was a trap. It was a sting. We got them. We put them in the cells. They're gone.
Nah. So, but there have been times too, just as a matter of fact, where, like, in my life, I have had a couple of situations where police have protected my family from people with guns.
Yeah.
Trying to kill us. So, like, I've had that, and one of my cousins was a police officer who was mowed down when he was responding to a domestic violence call, and he died.
Yeah.
So, like,
no, I absolutely wasn't saying he would be.
Oh, no. So, like, I understand. Well, I just say that because, like, I know that there's, like, bushels of bad apples out there, but at the same time, there's a lot of really good people too. So, that was a really cool event, and I'm glad that I did it. And it was really cool and fun. And my next rucking event, because people always ask, well, what's your next event, Jala? Next weekend, I'm going to be doing another super easy ruck. This one is just for my rucking club. It's a taco truck ruck. We are going to go around Houston Heights, and we are going to be rucking from brewery to brewery and taco truck to taco truck like a bunch of slobs.
That strikes me as the opposite of how trucks are supposed to work.
Trucks? Yeah, the taco trucks. Yeah. Rucking to the trucks.
Yeah,
yes.
you ruck between the trucks.
Yeah, you do. But so yeah, that's the thing that I'm doing. It's going to be another 10-mile event, but it's like, it's really just about hanging out with people with a background. I mean, like, that's all you're doing. So, I mean, it's not really like a hardcore event. The next actual event is going to be the Spartan Ultra at the end of October, which is 30 plus miles, 60 plus obstacles. So, yep.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's me. That's what I've been doing.
Cool. Ben, how are you?
Doing pretty good. I mentioned this before the show. I had friends in town over this last weekend from high school. So I got to take people around Austin, which was fun. I got to walk to a few places that I hadn't been before. And since they were into sports, I actually watched a sports game over the weekend, which is a very novel experience for me.
Was it a college ball game?
Yeah, it was the OSU game. It was actually a good game.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Yeah. And I got to take them some of my favorite spots around the city, so I really enjoyed that. So, yeah.
Cool.
And then I also have been playing some D&D over the last couple of weeks, and that's been good as well.
That's
nice. What class?
I'm a dark elf rogue, but we just pretend that my disadvantages of being a dark elf don't exist, because you're supposed to roll disadvantage on all attacks and saving throws in direct sunlight, and you're in direct sunlight pretty often.
Yeah,
so.
you're acclimated. Yeah.
You just gotta go Michael Jackson style. Always have the parasail.
I'll just go Ben Merkle style and just always be wearing a hoodie.
Yes. Also.
Huh.
Good call. What? I'm curious. Wait. Are you doing 5th edition?
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah. Overall, it's better as a hanging out with friends experience than it is like a game experience. Like, I'd rather play like board games or Magic or something instead of like I don't play for the like mechanics of the game, I guess, as much.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Huh.
That's cool. How about you, David?
Not a whole lot. I started working out with a martial arts group. That's a branch of the Dog Brothers, which is basically a full contact stick fighting group. So really interesting. They're known for doing, well, one, being some of the few people that do full contact stick fighting without tons and tons of armor. And they also do a lot of interesting like mixed weapons sparring, stuff like that. That's really interesting. So I've seen videos that have been like stick versus bokken, wooden Japanese sword, like staff versus knife, all sorts of stuff. So that's kind of cool. Other than that, I am slowly trying to figure out how to set up a workshop in a New York apartment. So
I believe there's a Casey Neistat video where he talks about how to do that efficiently.
Really? So I mean, I'm unfortunately going to probably have to abandon like leatherworking or anything with metal or anything like that, because that requires hammering, which is unlikely to endear me to the neighbors. However, I'm debating getting like some sewing set up for some cosplay stuff. Although I do have at least one coworker, well, probably only one coworker, that has apparently set up a archery target in his apartment.
Nice.
I mean, would a New York apartment be long enough for an archery range?
It depends. Like mine actually, like because the way mine's laid out, I have a stretch that you could do like 20 feet at least, something like that. So like I know mine you actually probably could. You could definitely, if there wasn't the whole problem with, you could definitely do a gun range, like a pistol range, if there wasn't this whole problem with that being unbelievably dangerous and all guns being illegal in New York City.
Right.
Like, but I'm talking just in terms of like, length, you could do that.
Okay. Yeah, I would probably stick more with the with the bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm frantically Googling blacksmith clubs for New York City because I'm sure there's one that already exists there.
100%.
Yeah, I know in San Francisco there were actually a number of super well-equipped one. There's one that did like full-on, pretty much full metalworking, and there was also a makerspace that basically got all of Autodesk's old equipment. So it was, so like pretty much any cutting-edge thing you could imagine. But yeah, I'm sure there's got to be something.
Nice. Well, that all sounds like we've got a lot going on, but right now, all of that fades away because we are going to do a regular kind of show, a brief, a multiplayer, and a grind. And why don't we get started with The Brief, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games around us. Jala, I'm going to have you lead us off. What's going on?
Sure. So there is a game called Honor of Kings, and it's one of the most popular mobile games in China. And it's now testing using facial recognition to prevent underage users from playing. And the dev, Tencent, has received a lot of criticism in the past because so many kids were getting addicted to the game. And in response to that, last year they rolled out an age restriction where kids under 12 were limited to 1 hour of gameplay, and kids that were 13 to 18 could only play for a max of 2 hours. I would assume per day because it doesn't otherwise indicate. So the facial recognition system, though, is being rolled out into their existing Youth Guardian platform, which allows parents to monitor gameplay time, and it also uses that facial recognition technology. But it now also compares user images to government photo records. So I don't know what...
That's fucking creepy. Oh,
yeah,
no.
So that's the thing.
I feel like we buried the lead. Yes, of course this is going to be used to... limit gameplay. That's definitely the intended use case of this feature.
I was going to ask if this feeds into China's what is that, the good citizen score or whatever it is.
Yeah, the good citizen score. I don't know. That's the thing that raised the flag that made me go, because the thing is that like what else they're talking about in the article is like, oh, well, we don't know how well this is going to work because especially younger kids, their face shape changes as they mature and things like that. But
before it stops changing at all.
Well, they say that, and then they're just talking about how it's only going to be rolled out to like thousands of new users instead of all the millions of users there are in China that are playing this game. But
I don't think anything happens in thousands.
Like, yeah, I know. And but the government photo record thing, like, what? Like, I don't even know. And then for me, I'm like, kids under 12 have government photos too, or what?
Yeah.
Like, why do they need it? Like, I mean, I don't know because I legitimately don't know because I don't live in China. I have no idea.
I feel like, are you saying you don't know why they need government photos, or you don't know the excuse that the government gives for why they need photos?
Well, no, like of a 12-year-old. I mean, usually, stateside, you've got photos for like, IDs and stuff, but like, do the 12-year-olds have IDs too? Like,
they do in totalitarian dictatorships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was I was listening to another show. Apparently there's a mobile game, and who knows, this may be bullshit. I haven't looked this up. In fact, I'm not even going to say it. It was a thing about a game where you watch Xi Jinping speeches and press a button to applaud. But I have I should have checked that before I mentioned a potentially bullshit thing about a country I've never been to or know little about. So I'll back up off of that.
Well, anyway, so like I was just like curious about it just in general because I'm like, okay, what? Okay, I don't know.
What's remarkable is Tencent owns Riot Games. And
they own everything. They're like a huge dev for China. So,
yeah. Huh. So I'm spooked now, guys. Yeah. Who knows?
Well, remember, always smile in your photos. Wear the opposite of the eyewear you normally do and the opposite of the makeup you normally do.
I'm just trying to... So you're asking me to dress up like Kiss?
Well, I'm saying only when you get a photo that's going to go into a government database.
Yeah. Huh. I'm spooked by this. Hey Ben, what's going on with Red Dead Redemption 2?
All right, yeah, let's backpedal away from that. Red Dead Redemption is coming out 28th of this month, so it's kind of like the next big game on most people's radar. They released a gameplay trailer for it today, which is maybe a little bit more in depth than their previous one to talk about the different mechanics you could do. Of all the things I wrote down, it looked like they have like a lot of this old stuff as well, like playing poker and like Five Finger Filet and gunfights and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Some of the more notable new stuff you can do, and notable like in parentheses because some of this is very like mundane. You can bathe, you can shave, you can canoe, you can fish, you can dance by a campfire, you can chop wood, you can see a play. More notable things that they've added is they added a system that looks like similar to GTA 5, where they have heist systems now, where you can rob banks. In addition, you can also, and it looks very similar to GTA 5, except in an old-fashioned way. But you can also rob trains, you can rob coaches, you can rob a house, and those are kind of things that you can do passively in the world. Like if you just see a coach driving by, or if you see a train going by, or if you just see a house going by, you can do any of those things. The other thing that looks interesting too is they showed the cop system that they have, and it looks a little bit interesting. So they have they're talking about how it's like an increasingly like civilized world. So there's more kind of like at the end of what you see in Red Dead Redemption 1. It's kind of continuing that, but they have like marshals who will try and hunt you down or like investigate crime scenes where you kill people. But it looks very similar to GTA, and where like you have a wanted system. I can't exactly remember what the wanted system was like in the first Red Dead Redemption. I know it was probably along the same lines, I guess. And they also have a bounty system in this game where people can collect bounties on you. So that's kind of like alongside the cops chasing you sort of thing.
So that's like a player versus player.
I thought
I think it's NPCs will do this as well. Like you'll just be riding in the world, and then people will try and chase you down to collect a bounty on your head.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. What's up, Dave?
So I thought they said this was set very early in like the Westward expansion. Is that apparently not the case?
It looks like it's where the first one left off, kind of terms of development. So like late 1800s,
I
early
thought
1900s.
like it was maybe even like pre-Civil War or something.
It might be. I guess it just doesn't appear that way in the trailers that I saw so far, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But, that's really interesting. I kind of remember the main verbs in the first game basically being shoot and horse.
Yeah. I mean, they had a lot of small stuff. Like the poker was a big thing in the first game, and you do some things like that. There's like bar games you could play, and yeah.
It's been 7 years since that came out.
Seems like this kind of is sounding like it's going to end up being like Yakuza with horses.
Yeah, it seems like definitely a more fleshed out world.
I'm so sorry. I'm just picturing a horse dressed up like Kuryu. Oh no, here comes Majima horse. Continue, sorry.
No. Yeah, no, it kind of seems like the same trajectory they did with the Grand Theft Auto 3 series, where it's just continual integration but adding more things to do. So kind of like how in San Andreas there is just a whole bunch of side stuff you could do. Is like a really fleshed out world. Looks like that's kind of what they've done with this iteration as well. That said, there's a lot of stuff you can do is still the same as the old game, where you can kind of explore around, you can fight animals, fight people, do bounties, gunfights, all that stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. They one thing they added too is a cinematic camera mode, which is similar to what they had in like GTA 3, the original one or whatever, but it looks like much more polished in this one, where like it'll focus on the pretty outdoor nature stuff. So that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. That game looks way too big.
Yeah.
It's just intimidating, like the fact that they're leaning on scale so much with that. Good for them.
Yeah. I think I saw a blurb, and it was like an ungodly amount of space that you need to have to be able to install a game on your PS4. I can't imagine what it is if you try and do it just downloading the game online and don't have the physical copy of the game. But
yeah, if you're getting it for somebody for Christmas, start downloading it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a short and dumb story, but I wanted to keep things light, especially because so much is still unsettled with that Telltale thing. So we know room escapes are a big thing. Video game room escapes, also a big thing. This, though, seems like it is a step beyond, which is over in Tokyo in their... What is the name of that district? Come on. Like it was kind of crazy what it was called. The Tokyo Mystery Circus. There we go. In Shinjuku.
Of course it is.
Yeah. They have set up a Metal Gear Solid infiltration room experience.
Yay!
Yeah. So what it is, you pay some money, and it is either you on a solo infiltration mission or up to 2 other people, so you can Rocket 3 style, trying to break in to Shadow Moses Island to stop to stop Metal Gear. You're sneaking around. There are employees that are dressed up as the genome terrorists and such. And so here's the cool thing, right? Like if they catch you, you're not just dead. If you're shot like in a laser tag kind of way, it just reduces the time for your mission. Okay. Yeah. So, a couple of shots isn't that bad. And if you run out of time, like you can still see the end. You just have to pay a little bit more. It's kind of like an arcade game almost. Which I think
they do the exclamation points above their head?
I think cardboard and some kind of spring-loaded, a little bit like the wrist daggers in Assassin's Creed, except out of the back of their shirt. Yeah,
that's sweet.
But yeah, you wear like a harness. You have a codec. Yeah, this looks really good as the Metal Gear real infiltration game. And that sounds like it'd be a lot of fun. Although, I mean, like those guards, unless they rotate them out, they have to know exactly they have to know exactly which way people are going to go. It's not like there are so many ways to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's Good.
They just have to be like a metronome and be like, I'm going to look this way for 5 seconds.
Yes.
All right, turn around.
It's like, they know exactly where you are, you dumb piece of shit. Like, but yeah, it's a suspension of disbelief.
I'll try this when they give you the Octo camo that you can use.
Yeah, I don't know. This seems like it'd be fun. It seems a little bit like what is it, paintball? Like it's like the Metal Gear Solid version of a video game themed haunted house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks sweet.
Yeah.
Yay.
Into it.
I hope there's like a 1 hour debriefing video after you're done with it that you just have to sit through.
Sir, please, we have a dinner reservation in 1954.
The world had changed.
Oh boy.
And David, we're gonna have to do this, aren't we? So go ahead.
Bowsette, discuss.
Chain Chompette, much better.
Chain Chompette, very good. But apparently I'm basic because I like Bowsette.
Everybody, like Bowsette is so much like the biggest one, the most popular one that I've seen on the interwebs. So
I'm just gonna bury my head in the sand for a week and hope this meme goes away.
dude, you know the thing is that like there's even this whole thing where it very quickly developed into, okay, so Mario has Bowserette and so Luigi has Bowsette.
Mm-hmm.
And so like it's this whole like there's a narrative for it.
Shipper's gonna ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, so what's hilarious about this, and I want people to understand that my posture toward this is kind of no judgment. What's hilarious to me about this is that like this shit was already happening. It's just that Nintendo, by putting this innocuous item into their, into their what looks like a really fun game, by putting that in there, they're like, yes, let us turn this rock over again, no judgment, and watch what scurries out again, no judgment. But like the gender bender crossplay kind of stuff, we've been going on forever, and it's just amazing to see it just kind of like bubble up.
Well, the best part about it too is that Nintendo commented by saying, "About this, we have no comment." Like, that's what they did. They're just like, we don't have anything to say about this. However, it's a thing that exists in the world.
However, it is fantastic marketing. So,
yeah.
I'm not sure whether that's disapproval or not, because if they say it's interesting, that's disapproval.
I mean, so if Nintendo disapproves of something, they talk in subpoenas. So,
yeah, this is true.
So I think my hope is that this is made canon, and we get a game where Peach and Birdo have to rescue Mario and Yoshi.
Well, see, there's Birdoette. That exists too.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Wouldn't she become Birdude or something?
It seems like there would be like a net no change. Like there would be a net no change, right?
There's some gags about like Waluigi, for example, putting it on and then like nothing happens. Like, he's just Waluigi.
Yeah.
The end.
I mean, if there's anything in the Mario canon that has transcended gender, it is Waluigi. Yeah, fuck it. Like there's a lot of the stuff is pretty creative. Although I do wish that they would like so Bowsette is just a big anime booby lady. Like show her as like a real butch looking tough tattooed kind of make her look like Bowser.
I know. I strongly maintain there are no bad booby ladies.
Again, no judgments. This is not the place for that. See, no, this Waluigi that I found is not. That's nothing. It's nothing, is what it is.
I do think there's also and actually I think the Polygon article I linked to, one of them actually kind of points some of this out. There is some disturbing question to the actual item, which is apparently was it when Toadette wears the crown, she just straight up becomes Peach. which
So
raises
what has
some,
Peach been all along?
Yeah,
Yeah.
some questions of like, is this like if Mario takes off his hat, does he become like a tiny mushroom person?
I'm just all that I'm reminded of is there's a tweet. I need to check and see if it's real. I cannot do this while I'm on the air, so caveat emptor, all of that. Just Shigeru Miyamoto tweeted just this simple statement: "I saw a drawing of Mario and Luigi kissing. Please do not do this." Or please don't do that.
Yeah, no, please.
This is fun.
There's Shy Guy at too.
Oh, I'm down for that.
Yeah, like
I love
everything.
Shy Guy.
There's
Although again,
so.
I feel like shouldn't that? I mean, I don't know. I feel like I draw the line at butchering English. Clearly, it would be Shy Gal.
Yes,
Yeah.
it would be Shy Gal, but they're editing it.
Yes, it needs to. Yeah, that's pretty good. So
There's a bunch of different ones, but that just happens to be one of them.
this is entertaining. I actually managed to find. I was talking about this in the pre-roll. There's a very funny image of oh gosh, it's like a comic. Peach takes the crown and puts it on and turns into like an Akira monster because it gets recursive peaches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Good.
In like the I don't know, the like Mario Golf / the Mario Sports like whatever, is there like a female counterpoint to Bowser? Because don't all the other characters have like male female counterpoints?
Weirdly enough, from like Mario Kart, the closest female, or the closest female kart driver is Rosalina. Like she is from Super Mario Galaxy. She's like the princess, and the reason that she's so big, like she's big in the game because she's like of a different race. Like she is not, just like a star person or whatever. But yeah, she controls very similarly. See, yeah, Bowsette is awesome. This is a very good one. She looks metal as fuck. She looks like.
Did you see?
Good.
Yeah. Did you see the Goombet? There's everything. Everything has been turned into an ant.
Yeah, that's good. Hey,
I have to say, like that Bowsette looks like something that would soon kill me in a Soulsborne game.
Yeah.
she looks like a Genocide Jack from Danganronpa.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Got that tongue sticking out.
Yep.
Yeah, this is fun. It'll run out of steam soon, but it's fun while it lasts.
Yep.
That seems like a segment to me.
Before we sashay away, I looked up while we were talking about the other stories. The install size is 105 gigabytes for Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah, it's a fifth of the total space of a PlayStation. So
yeah, man.
I wonder what they're doing with that.
I think a lot of it is they did this in the first game where they had a lot of like high res textures that like you don't even see when you play the game. Like wasn't until technology later where like everyone was like upscaled where you could see stuff. So I think it's like that. There's just like a lot of stuff, a lot of content and details and stuff.
The article that I read is that they have about 4,000 different versions of each character saying howdy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Howdy. Howdy.
Gotta fit those sound files somewhere.
It's sort of like Fallout 4, having just all the different names programs for Cogsworth.
Yep, but they're all howdy. No matter what you put in. Hi, howdy.
And just for a point of reference, GTA 5 had a 65 gigabyte install size. So
Rockstar, come on.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Jala, what is the question that you ask the nice people?
I asked, what's a retro game you'd love to see remade for modern systems, and how do you envision the updates? And thanks to Greg P. for the question.
It's a good question. And Greg was right on top of this, is the first response here, saying the first 3 Zelda games with updated but retro style graphics and music, but keeping the 2D look for them with new content like extra quests and dungeons, similar to the upgrade that Legend of Zelda got for the Satellaview service in Japan. By the way, that's cruel and unusual punishment with that Final Fantasy VII picture, which is what Jala used for this post on Facebook, since it looks like we still have a long way to go for that remake.
Yep.
Yeah.
And to clarify, Greg wanted me to further add that he means The Legend of Zelda, The Legend of Zelda 2, and then Link to the Past.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Yes.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Was there one that theoretically came before Link to the Past?
There might have been like a Game Boy game or something.
Possibly Link's Awakening.
I have no idea when like the Game Boy game came out in relation to him.
I think Link's Awakening was like 1993. Yes. Yeah, it was 1993, 2 years after. So yes, that for clarification's sake, definitely.
Yeah, no, I was just curious.
Yeah, I would really love for them to do those in like in a Link Between Worlds kind of diorama style. I think
no.
What, you don't like that?
I don't want them to do that to the first Zelda.
Okay, all right.
That's the one I play all the time. Remember?
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
Wait,
yeah.
when you say like diorama style,
it's 2D, but they do a lot of really cool like foreshortening to make it. You would just have to look up videos of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about like just literally bite 3D.game hero stees? Would you be okay with that, Jala?
I don't know.
Oh.
Let us continue.
Yes, let us. Ben, what does Sam say?
Sam says, a re-release of Mass Effect Trilogy on modern systems with all the DLC included. I never finished those games for a number of good reasons, but I kind of want to give them another shot without the hyper expectations from back in the day. However, the hoops you have to jump through on PC are absurd, and the console version still nickel and dime the hell out of you. Those games really needed the DLCs, but even the versions released well after the original came out still required a bunch of weirdly expensive extra purchases. What I'm saying is that EA is terrible.
Yes.
Wasn't there like a PlayStation 4 collection of Mass Effect?
To the internet.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at this. No, it was on PlayStation 3 is what they did that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they did like a trilogy pack. That was the first time the Mass Effect 1 was available on PS3. Actually, prior to that, it was just Xbox 360 and PC. Yeah, it's a shame that those are so hard to get a hold of and get to run on PC because just Origin fucks stuff up.
It looks like there's already a Mass Effect Trilogy for PC that's out for like $30, which that seems cheap.
Yeah.
So I'm mistrustful of that
But
website.
does it have the DLC?
I don't think it does.
Yeah.
But it has over 75 hours of content and more than 300 awards.
Woo!
Yeah. Let's see, David, what does Javier say?
Javier says, I would love a remaster of Predator Concrete Jungle. I envision it much like the new Spider-Man, except with more gore and a sweet cloaking system. But as we have established on the Slack, there would be no difference in the amount of killing.
Right. Spider-Man doesn't live by your rules, man. Man, it has been forever since I've thought about Predator Concrete Jungle. Huh.
That means that you probably didn't see the Predator, and that is a good thing.
Yeah.
You mean the
I've
recent
heard
one?
that. Yes, I've heard that.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see though, I kind of want to watch it just to see who our next governors are gonna be.
Yeah. But isn't what's his name? Keegan-Michael Key in that?
And the new one, yes.
Yeah, I'd be fine with Governor Keegan-Michael Key.
And Tom Jane's in it, so I'm fine with Governor Tom Jane.
Oh, he was good in The Mist. Yeah, well, it's a shame that's too bad. Wow, I've not thought about that game in forever, so I don't.
That's
know
a
that I have
shame
comment.
that's too bad.
Yeah, that's a
That's
shame.
the best line. Okay,
Yeah.
That's a shame. That's a shame.
Do you know of a more eloquent way to say the same thing twice in a row?
Shame, shame, shame. Anyway, continue.
Okay.
It's different, isn't it?
Yes, Jala, what does Alexander say?
Xander says, let's see a remake restart for the single-player Final Fantasy or Phantasy Star games with an art style evocative of the classics, but with that Dragon Quest XI level of polish to it. That could be pretty rad.
Yeah, give me the story and kind of world and aesthetic of Phantasy Star 2 without those shitty teleport mazes.
Yee.
The only one of these I played was Phantasy Star Online, which I kind of miss sometimes.
Yeah. It's a fun little game. Fun little
yeah.
Diablo.
It'd be interesting to play one with comprehensible plot, though.
This is going to sound like I'm being sarcastic. I do not remember a plot in Phantasy Star Online.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there is.
Okay, let us proceed.
Yes, let us.
Yeah.
Eric
Word to
says,
word.
Eric says, I would love to see a remaster of Kingsfield 4 or any of the first-person From games. I have only ever tinkered with it on emulators, and the aged control scheme is desperately crying out for a modern twin stick or a mouse and keyboard configuration. New graphics would be great. Don't change the music, but please give my brain a rest from being rewired to get my character to interact properly with the world. Yeah. It sucks because Kingsfield 4, that had a bonkers control scheme, and then literally, I think the next year they did Shadow Tower Abyss, and that like gave you the ability to actually use a modern twin stick control scheme on it. Yeah, Kingsfield 4 is a good answer, but do not fucking touch a note of that music. I swear to God, I'm holding a knife right now.
I'm so scared of you.
It's my pocket knife. I'm fidgeting with it. Ben, what does Juan say?
Juan says, I'd love to see a Chrono Cross remake. Maybe minor tweaks to turn-based nature. Definitely settings for different types of color blindness out there.
Yeah, that is actually a really, really good answer.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's the answer for Kole, and then the one right after that is the answer for me.
Yeah, this one's targeted right at you, so that makes sense.
I know.
That makes sense for David to read it. David, what does Steven say?
Steven says Capcom versus SNK 4 or SNK 2.
SNK 2.
SNK 2. The Rolls Royce of 2D fighting games. The only tweak would be porting it onto modern consoles. So
Yeah.
There
what
was
is
like a
SNK?
whole discussion. SNK is one of the developers of fighting games, which made stuff like Art of Fighting and Fatal Fury and King of Fighters.
Yeah. Did they do Samurai Showdown, or was that somebody different?
That was also Samurai Showdown.
Okay.
That was them too. So, yeah. And there was like this whole conversation that happened after that. So,
although Capcom versus SNK would be very fun. You get Clarissa, you get those wily kids from Are You Afraid of the Dark? Alex Mack
They'll
is
throw
on there.
campfire at you. Yeah.
You know what that was? They threw on the campfire. Well, that was coffee creamer.
Oh.
Coffee creamer. No, you get Alex Mack with their turning liquid powers. It's great. Capcom versus SNK.
Pete and
I
Pete
feel
could be like
like
the ice
all
climbers.
of the non-Street Fighter fighting games super run together for me.
Eh.
I know. I feel like they all just end up being plotted on like an axis of like how much boob physics versus like how many like anime cat girls.
But I mean, so you're thinking of Darkstalkers right there.
That's like 100% anime cat girls.
but okay, so like about Fatal Fury though, there was the whole I don't remember which installment it was, or maybe it was multiple installments for a while there, where Mai Shiranui's boobs jiggling, the jiggle physics on that literally slowed down the gameplay. So like that was back in the day, but yeah.
That is a company that has their priorities straight.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So just randomly, point of order, that in this photo we're looking at is Cloud holding his sword with the sharpened edge against him.
Yeah.
Probably. Let's continue on with the multiplayer.
Let's do this. Jala, what does Franz say?
Franz says, Demon's Souls on the PS4 or PC. No changes, just to allow me to get rid of the PS3.
Yeah, and also with functioning multiplayer. That'd be nice nowadays.
Woo!
But hear that shit.
Yeah, but Sony's got a hold of it. Stranglehold. Oh, well. It's a fun game. Lindsay says, Resident Evil 3. Resident Evil 3. There we go. Not Resident Evil 3. I swear I'm not drinking. I've got water here. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. It was the first in the series I played and beat. And I love Nemesis. I could see more decisions than run or fight. Destructible environments that could hinder you or work to your advantage, plus more bosses than just the 2 or 3 that were in the game. Yeah, that'd be a good one. Cool. I kind of hope they do Nemesis as an expansion pack for the upcoming 2 remake, because I mean, I've come to the conclusion 3 is the superior game. I have a lot of affection for 2, but yeah. Let's
prepare thyself for the messages.
2 is more important. 3 is a better game. Here we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's the one.
So 2 is Leon, 3 is back to Stars.
Yeah, 3 is Jill. So 2 is Leon and Claire. 3 is Jill. Let's see, Ben. What does Brandon say?
Brandon says, Mech Warrior 3 and 4. While I would be thrilled for some graphical enhancements, I'd settle for the damn things being playable. And Freelancer. I want a space game, but I'm too dumb for Elite Dangerous.
Nice.
Just play No Man's Sky, I guess.
That would be way too basic for somebody who... Yeah. I think you want something in between, would be my guess. Don't want to presume to speak for Brandon. David, what does Justin say?
Justin says, it's probably a phase, but I could really go for a new Carmen Sandiego right now. Ideally, one hard enough for adults. Maybe I want to be low-key educated, or maybe it's the only game from my childhood that hasn't been sexualized on Twitter yet. How sure are you?
Well, because like right after that, I Googled about Carmen Sandiego, and Netflix is doing a live action thing. So prepare yourself. It's happening. It's coming.
Is it a quiz show or...
Like, look, the article is linked right underneath his thing.
Yeah.
So you can go look at it. So no, it's not a quiz show.
Yeah.
The quiz show was something I watched when I was growing up.
Oh, yeah, same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, though, it seems like every other news story nowadays is about
Netflix starting up some new thing. Yeah.
Oh, no, I was going to say, like, some pair of countries arguing that some other country is actually part of them.
Yeah, northern territories of Macedonia or something like that.
Yeah, so I feel like that could make it very difficult to make a Carmen Sandiego game and not just get... Yeah,
it's not like shit was super stable in the 80s and early 90s either, you know?
True.
Well, true, but the people make it unstable couldn't afford to buy, PC games.
They couldn't afford to buy ad space on Carmen Sandiego. Sorry, just like the idea of just tourist boards bidding for that. I am 100% down with Justin's proposal. However, the soundtrack has to be rockapella. So
yeah,
get them. They're still together, like they're still touring. 1986 to present, baby.
That's crazy. Where are they touring? I need to know.
I have no idea.
Aw.
Let's see, Jala. What does Douglas say?
Siphon Filter.
Yeah,
that's it.
Just that series just went away to nowhere.
Was that kind of a game that prefigured some of the kind of Tom Clancy-esque type things?
Yeah, the original Siphon Filter was like 1998, I think, something like that. So probably around the time when Rainbow Six was first coming out. It was definitely before there were a whole lot of third-person shooters. Like Siphon Filter was much more like Tomb Raider at that point.
Yeah,
Okay.
controls were probably really clunky, but it was fun.
Yeah. You set people on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With the taser.
Yay!
Kian says, Crash Team Racing,
Racing?
Crash Team Racing has been name dropped a few times as an unfortunate omission from the upcoming PlayStation console. In terms of updates, I'd love some online multiplayer to test my skills. And so we've been away for fucking ever because we also didn't talk about that PlayStation Mini, but we only know like 2 of the games on it, and one of them is Wild Arms. Not that I'm complaining, but.
Wild Arms. That's like the weirdest thing to put on there, but okay.
Yeah, why not?
Like, all right,
I feel like the PlayStation Mini is, I don't know, that just strikes me as innately a ripoff just because a PlayStation is basically a PC. Like, they could just make this be like a Raspberry Pi Shield.
Yeah, PlayStation emulation is still just spotty enough to where it would not readily be kind of obviated by the Raspberry Pi. It almost feels like a move that they're doing to get around bad press for the Vita going out of production.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Different thing. Ben, what does David say?
David says, Bahamut's Lagoon for SNES. Want to see those good Dragoos all prettied up.
I had to Google what that was. They're pretty cute.
Yeah. That's kind of an infamous "we never got it here" game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Japanese only, square, therefore fetishized.
Yep.
I mean that like in a not again.
Yeah. I wasn't like ing at that. I was just like, yeah, the Square fanboys, yeah.
Let's see. David, what does Christopher say?
Christopher says, the original Deus Ex. The graphics leave a bit to be desired. I don't even think they were good when it first came out, but the gameplay and story is so good. If you can update it, like the more recent Deus Ex games, I bet they would get more people into the original, who might be turned off by how bad it looks. Yeah, this is actually, I hadn't thought of this, but this is a really great answer. the graphics are horrible, so I'd love to see an update, although I feel like they would need to keep just the horrible voice acting, at least for JC.
Yeah. So I think that the newer Deus Ex games are way too polished for that. Like part of the fun of Deus Ex for me is that it is real janky and clunky, you know? Jala, what does Jack say?
Jack says, I'd be genuinely interested to see what Joust might look like decades later with the 2018 veneer. Add some story, work on the 3D ostrich quasi-flying physics, slap some avian blood all over the place, collectible lances complete with crafting system, chef fingers.
Mwah.
And then also David C. responded and said, they have a daily quest or side story in WoW that is Joust. I have not played in years, but saw my wife playing it and getting angry and realizing what it was. I took over and finished it for her. Then I had to download the arcade version on the Xbox 360 to show her and the kids what the hell I was talking about.
It's Joust. What are you talking about, old man?
Yeah.
All I can think of in this is I would love to see I guess it'd have to be 3D eyes, but like a competitive VR version of Joust.
What's weird is I was picturing the exact same thing.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if like to play it, do you have to sit on one of those like porcelain horses that's out in front of a Kmart, you know?
Oh, that's funny.
With a helmet on? I have no idea.
That or one of the bucking Broncos.
There you go.
I still never mind. I'm not going down that tangent.
Let's hear. David writes, Metal Gear 1 and 2, not solid. The originals. I so wanted the final mission of Metal Gear Solid 5 to end with an opening sequence to the original, then loop around. Chances would be dialogue between Kiefer Sutherland and David Hayter as you played through the game. Plus graphics and a save system. I was so expecting that too.
I'd be happy if Metal Gear Solid 5 even had an end.
I was really expecting them to do that. Like I was expecting that to work in, but twas not meant to be. Instead, the events of Metal Gear 1 are just kind of disposed of in like the credits. Finally, Ben, what does Michael say?
Michael says, the newest Fire Emblem on the Switch, it looks very promising. It looks like they took notes when the fans enjoyed, with what the fans enjoyed about the 3DS, Game Boy Advance games, brought it to the Switch. Anime and Game of Thrones mixed all in one. If they could redo 3DS Fire Emblem Awakening on the Switch, that would be amazing. Awakening has everybody in it as cards you can use on the battlefield. That would be my pick for a modern remake.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awakening is like the first of those in a long time that I heard people talk about as like, you got to hop on this shit. Was that the one you played, Jala?
I think, but I don't remember cards.
Yeah.
I don't remember names of things. You can Google it. You can Google it and figure out if that's what I played if you really want to. Anyway, I think that was it.
Okay.
Because isn't Fire Emblem Echoes the one that's like 2 parts? I didn't play the 2-part one. I played just the one that's just by itself.
That would have been it. Yeah. The one that was by itself. Yeah. Awakening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I see no reason to complicate my answer. Just go with wands. An update of Chrono Cross. It wouldn't even need to be all fancy and full 3D. I would just want them to do like a pass on the story and the translation, and make it so colorblind people can play it, so we could play it for WoW.
That would be nice for you.
And I would even be fine with an arranged version of that soundtrack.
Yay.
Yeah. It sounded like you were going to ask something, Ben.
I'm between two things. One thing I would say is maybe I'll piggyback off and say Chrono Cross for mine. And then that way, both of our worlds, we could play both games.
Oh, no, I said Chrono Cross.
Oh, wait, Chrono Trigger? Wait.
Yeah, Chrono Trigger is the SNES
the other one.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, never mind then. Chrono Cross then. Chrono Cross is the one that I played, so since that's already been answered, I'll just say Majora's Mask, because I didn't play that when it came out, and I'd like to play it, but it's too old.
It wasn't necessarily updated, but it's on, like, they've got an adapted version on the 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have a 3DS, so then I don't know.
Yeah,
All right.
that'd be a problem. Majora's Mask is good, though. I'd like to see that on the Switch. Let's see, David, how about you?
I think for me, even though it's not that old, the original Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl.
Okay.
Especially since they kind of did a thing where the third game in the series, Call of Pripyat, I don't know how that's pronounced, was clearly the point where they had finally figured out the gameplay, but unfortunately, by that point, they had kind of already told the story that the setting was really set up to tell. So yeah, I think that would be my thing, and also then maybe it would finally get Cole to play it.
One of these days.
When he plays Shining Force for me, which I bought for him millennia ago.
Yeah. Wow. I'm a little bit upset that this Reddit is asking if I'm 18. Jala, how about you?
My answer is actually Legacy of the Wizard. I was obsessed with that game as a kid, and I didn't have a way to buy it, and it wasn't available at the stores near me, so I rented it a lot from the Blockbuster, and I never got anywhere in the game. And like, I will turn it on and I will play it, and I still don't get anywhere in that game, but I really like it for some reason, and I would love to actually see it in first-person VR, because if you could be the little monster dude and be able to jump on the other monsters, or to be the girl and have like a super jump, or to fall down several screens like you do in that game, like you can just fall for what feels like forever. It would be pretty amazing in VR, and it would make you die, Kole. You would just get motion sick to hell from all of that, probably. But anyway, I would literally save up and get the hardware just to play that, because it would be super fun to me. So that's my answer.
Cool.
And I don't know if anybody except like maybe Kole knows what the hell Legacy of the Wizard is that's on this podcast currently.
It's really fun.
So,
like that is one of the games that we did for Abject Suffering, and that was like, what is this doing here? And then it just turned out somebody really just wanted us to play it. Yeah, it's neat.
And I love the soundtrack too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's also like weirdly related, I think, to Xanadu, maybe.
Yeah. Isn't it like some kind of? It's not a sequel or something, but it's in like the same universe. I don't remember exactly how that works out. Yeah.
Yeah, it is absolutely part of the Dragon Slayer series, and Xanadu is like a side story off of that.
Okay. Yeah. There you go.
Yep.
So
neat. So, thank you everybody for participating in that. If you would like to get in your answers on these, or participate in the free play, which we will be doing next week, I believe. Yeah, this is 259. Go to facebook.com/thelevelpodcast, and watch for those to go up on Monday afternoons. Thanks to Jala.
The grind.
Now it is time for the grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. Jala, you have been away the longest, so I will defer to you first.
Okay, so I have been playing more of Shin Megami Tensei 4. And I tried to get through the entire thing, but I'm now in endgame anyway, and I'm just a few hours away from completion. I put in about 60 or so hours.
And that's real hot on the heels of doing Persona 4.
Yeah, and like I haven't I set it down at about 10 hours in for a little bit, wandered off to finish Corpse Party, and then I came right back to it. Mm-hmm. So like I think my tolerance is like coming back, guys. It's taking years and years and lots of struggling and lots of table flipping, but I think my tolerance for this stuff is returning. So anyway, in the game, there is a point where you have to choose the law or the chaos path, and both of those decisions, like both ways that could go, really suck. There's a neutral path, but it's really difficult to get because of how carefully you have to play your alignment choices throughout the game to get to that point. And it's basically not something you can ever do on an initial playthrough. Like, you have to have a guide for that to get that to work out just right. I still don't care about any of the characters or the story, but at the same time, there's weirdly some cool stuff that's happening. So the law and chaos paths are linked to two different characters that are in your party that you've known since the beginning. So you might think that once you make the choice, the one on the opposite side becomes your enemy, right? But no, they leave you for a little while, and then you end up together again later, and everybody's actually civil and acting like actual humans who have been friends like these guys have been, rather than falling into like, no, my way is best and I will now murder you because suddenly I have a passion about this thing, even though we've been friends and I don't care about you anymore. Like, it's actually surprising because they are actually acting like people, not, archetypes or something, Mm-hmm. And also, the whole thing is apocalyptic and post-apocalyptic, which is why the follow-up to this is called Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse.
Checks out.
Yeah, but kind of like with Chrono Trigger or Steins Gate or some such, you get to see the potential outcomes of one or another force having dominance, like the law and the chaos endings. You get to have kind of like a view of what happens when one of them takes over, which is kind of neat. So there's that. And when
you say that both the law and chaos sections or choices suck, do you mean just like both of the outcomes are just really terrible for the world, or is it just that like from the point that you choose, the game stops being fun?
The first one.
Okay, sorry, I was confused.
The game still plays the same way, but like it doesn't feel good either way. Like I don't care about the characters, I don't care about the world, I don't care about anything. However, when I make these choices and like they're choices that don't feel good to me, and then like I'm having to go there, I have a reaction to that. Yeah. You know, like I don't want to be with the side with the angels who want to keep everybody ignorant and, you know, controlled, and I don't want to side with the demons who want to, you know, have like complete chaos to where, you know, the strong have power and there is no order whatsoever. Yeah. I don't want either of those things, and those are my choices, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to go through either one of those stories. So like I actually feel resistance on, like I started both of them because there's 2 save slots, and I started one and then I backed off of that and started the other one. I'm like, okay, this one is also not good, and I just kept rolling with the one I was on, which happens to be the law path. So yeah, like I'm on the law path now, and I'm in game at this moment in time. Right. So yeah, but yeah, it just doesn't feel good. Like I don't like the way that it plays out. And then actually when I was talking about it in the Slack, the other people who have played this game who chit chat with me about it in the Slack channel also said the same thing. They like, you know, agree. Yeah, those choices suck. Neither one of them is good. You know, like they just don't feel good. Mm-hmm. So anyway, other than that, on to like, you know, the flippant stuff that I usually talk about, which is, hey guys, let me tell you about some crazy demons that I saw. So, I found a Mishaguji, which is the demon that has the head of a penis for a head. Right. And guys, I'm so upset. America took away Diana's nipples. What? You know the booby lady? You know the booby lady with the boobies everywhere, including like that was on her shoes and shit?
Yeah, she had a belt of tit. Yeah.
She has
fractal booby lady.
She's not here. I mean, okay, I have to actually link this one. I wasn't gonna link all the pictures, but like, look, she has no nipples.
Those might as well be testicles.
Yeah, and that's what people were saying. She just looks like now she's got testes, and I'm like, with the little like perky part up, you know, that tilts upward a little bit. Okay, whatever.
Maybe they were just trying to make new content, and there's like a nipple monster later in the game.
Ooh.
There is a booby. Okay. This is the worst one. A booby utter penis tentacle crater nipple demon. And she has all the nipples in the world on her booby udders. And I don't know why they took the nipples off of the one, but then left them all over this other one that also has penis tentacles. So,
well, they had a quota, and the second one, you know, after they're done, they'd run out.
They made a budget. They made a judgment call. Yeah.
I was very upset. And the booby utter penis tentacle crater nipple demon, that one is probably the one that takes the cake over Mara. I'm sorry, just like a giant veiny penis with some tentacles coming out of it sitting on a chariot is not as interesting as that thing that I just said.
Yeah.
Is there any justification for any of this whatsoever? Like, I don't know. Is it supposed to, like, are these the
utter penis tentacle nipple demon is supposed to be Tiamat, the mother dragon.
Yeah. So I mean,
so
To put your outrage in context for people who may have been maybe didn't listen to the beginning of this saga, once you saw, like, when you were like reading about this game, or you had picked it up and said, yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this, when you saw a picture of specifically Diana, I believe, you're like, oh, that's fucked up, I need to play this game until I get that. And when we were talking, like, whenever we talk about it, you're like, oh, I'm like 6 levels away from level 50 where I can get Diana. I'm like, cool. And then you
Diana, but then she was very, very vastly overshadowed by some of the other shit that I've seen since.
Of course, but you never forget you never forget
one.
The first one, right? Yeah. And then you get there, and then you find out that it's just been it's been made lame. Like, it's not that you were like looking to see a lady with boobs on her shoulders. No, it was the principle of the thing.
Exactly. And I was upset. But then okay, so some of the other things that I've seen, okay, the one that takes the cake is Tiamat, the one that I have said multiple times now. However, there's also a butt eye demon, and it has a necklace of legs that are attached to the butt. And that's a thing. There's also a booby toilet car demon. She's a booby lady that's sitting inside of a toilet, and then there's like an exhaust pipe out the back. Yeah. And then there's the nipple hose demon, and then there's Castle Grayskull. I don't know.
Let's get like the toy set.
Like, seriously, I linked it in the Facebook chat. Like, if you want to see any of these, they're all on my Twitter. Just, I would say, go to my Twitter, click on the media tab, and look through my media until you see things that look like the thing I was talking about. Yeah. So I'm sure there's more of them, but these were the real doozies. So that's been the primary source of entertainment for me, other than just generally fusing demons, and like the gameplay and the fusing of the demons are the things that I have enjoyed. Yeah. So that is what I've been doing. However, I've done all the demon fusion stuff I can do, and I have no interest in any more side quests or anything. So really, I'm just trying to finish up the rest of the game, and like, it still plays fine. Like, I have no complaints at all about how it plays. But I just want to be done with it. And like, I'm not tired of it per se, but like,
there's some stuff you want to play.
Resolution so I can move on, you know? And so there's like 2 or 3 more quests, and then I'm done. So for those who've played and want to know where I am, like I said, I'm on the Law Path. I am currently in Infernal Tokyo and just finished talking to Akira. So that's where I am. That's what I do. And yeah, hopefully next time I will be able to say, guys, I finished it, but I don't know. I've got that taco truck ruck between now and then, so you know. So that's the first thing I played. Anything, questions, comments, concerns about the demons?
I just want to say that a taco truck ruck, I don't know if that's you stopping at taco trucks or you just rucking taco trucks from place to place.
No, it really could be either, depending upon the size of the rucking party.
Mm-hmm.
It really could. So anyway, the other thing that I've been playing is Hand of Fate 2. So some of you may remember that a few years ago, like all the guys on the show and some of the listeners, some of the old-timer listeners that have been around for a while, remember that a few years ago I played and really enjoyed Hand of Fate, but I set it down and it got lost in my Steam library, and I just like never finished it. Because like Steam, like I open it up and I forget what I'm even there for.
It happens.
So yeah, I mean, like, you know, when I started playing Vampire, it's because I opened up the Steam library to go play The Witness. So,
yeah.
You know,
Sorry.
Well, you don't have to apologize. I should apologize to you because I didn't play The Witness. Instead, I went and played that other game. But anyway, so the sequel is on Switch, and Mai had given me a gift card to get a specific game that she wanted me to have on deck for the next time that I want to play a JRPG. There was one that she recommended, and she really wanted me to just have available. And so I got that with the gift card, and there was a little bit left over, so I used up the rest of it, and then, you know, like paid the rest of the balance to get Hand of Fate 2. So this game is very fun and somewhat difficult. I've failed several times, and that's just how it goes because it's a roguelike. So it's in the same style as the original, so I'll explain how that goes. You begin the game by entering the carriage of the dealer, who is a mysterious masked fortune teller guy who really obviously has been blighted. And like there's like a kind of sickness in the game that's called the blight. So he is a blighted traveling fortune teller guy. And you can imagine him to be kind of like the fantasy version of the merchant from Resident Evil 4, because that's what he looks like. He doesn't sound anything like that guy.
First person to do the impression gets kicked off this fucking call.
He doesn't sound anything like that guy.
Okay.
However, that's what he looks like.
Okay.
And anyway, you have different campaigns that open to you based on the major arcana of the tarot. So you therefore start at 0, which is the Fool. And you open up more missions as you go. And every one of the missions is kind of themed around the name or the persona on the arcana card. Not about the meaning of the card, but just about like the face value of the card. Like when you look at it, this is the High Priestess, for example. I'm on the High Priestess campaign, and in that particular mission you have to receive a certain number of blessings through different encounters that you go through before meeting with the High Priestess, who rules the northern tribes, in order to negotiate a peace treaty with them and the empire where you come from. So like it has, like I said, a very face value response to that. So when you select your mission, you get to choose the cards you want to add in with the dealer's cards in order to give yourself the greatest advantage in the equipment that you come across and the types of encounters that you have when you're on your mission going along this path. And if you like, you can also have the game itself recommend what cards to use. And basically, you're exploring a world that's made out of cards laid out on the table between you and the dealer, who acts as your DM. And you've got like a little miniature that you can move from card to card, and each card, as it flips over, gives you a different type of trial. A third-person combat segment. There are mini games that are high risk, high reward, or there's tabletop RPG style decision making, like text venture type of stuff. And so like there's a variety of different things that can happen. And those mini games have cards, and they also have dice involved. I mean, there's a lot of different things going on. And each of the different forms of trials are actually really well fleshed out, which is the thing that surprised me when I first played the original game. The combat actually feels really solid in your hands, and it doesn't feel janky. It doesn't feel, half cooked. It feels, like it was meant to be there. And I don't have a problem playing those combat sections, even though you don't play combat the entire time. You only have instances of it. So the different enemies have different tactics, strengths, and weaknesses. Like there are enemies that I just came across who have weapons that will freeze you and slow you down temporarily. There are enemies that have traps that they will throw at you to keep you frozen in place. There are some enemies that you have to specifically bash to break their armor down so that you can finish them off. And they're invincible until you can break that off, but they also come with a horde of other things coming at you. And then the different weapons that you have, you can dual wield 2 swords, or you can have an axe or a sword and a shield, that kind of a thing. And all of those things affect how it plays out. And the mini games, like I said, they include the dice and the cards and different things like that as well. And the text-based adventure choices are really fun and, engrossing. Like all of it is very, very well put together in a way that even though it might sound like maybe this all doesn't work in harmony with, each of these other elements, it really does.
Nice.
And you have the capacity to earn or buy new armor, weapons, and items as you build your deck. You end up unlocking more options for use in your next campaign. So basically, like, if you start this campaign and you have like a special sword, for example, you don't start the quest with that sword. That sword is available to you to purchase or to acquire via some kind of story play out in one of the text venture sections, or as loot when you finish a battle or something like that. it becomes available to you, but you don't automatically start with those items, So there is an element of chance to, what do you come across? That's the roguelike element of it, is like, what do you come across? It's not necessarily the same order. It's not necessarily the same, instance every single time that you go through. And when you die, you don't get like a resurrect. You're done, and you have to start back at the beginning of that campaign or switch to a different campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in this game too, unlike the original, you have companion characters who support you in combat, and in the mini games, they also give you bonuses. They can also influence the text-based narratives as well, changing how the game plays. So, like right now, I've got this kind of like bard guy that follows me around, and he's a pain in the ass because he keeps on getting me into trouble with people.
Sounds like a bard.
Yep. But he also ends up having some pretty good buffs during battle, and he uses magic against the enemies, so that's cool. But anyway, so I've been having fun with it. I'm only like 2 or 3 campaigns in, and if they're doing the entire Major Arcana, that's like 22 campaigns.
Wow.
I don't know if they are doing the entire Major Arcana, but if they are, that's how much there is yet to go. So, and then there's also like, there's different modes. There's campaign mode, endless mode, and then I forget what the other mode is. There's like another mode in there. It might be like challenge run or something like that. I don't know, but there's like this whole.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. And then there's also some of the cards too have tokens on them that give you extra goodies, and you have to earn those tokens by successfully completing, whatever the trial is for that card, like in the optimal way. If you do pretty good but not quite the best way, then you're not going to get the token off of that card. They're usually pretty hard to get. So, but what's really great too is that the dealer, the guy who you're sitting across from, who's narrating everything to you and like, spreading out the cards on the table with his magic and stuff. He is really cool because he also makes commentary. Like he has his own character and his own personality, and he'll make little comments that suggest a backstory for him, telling about, like what happened to him, some of his opinions on different things and some of his motives and things like that. And also, he will make comments about you as well, depending upon how you play and everything as well. So,
hey, how's he know me?
so yeah. Anyway, it's a really fun game. I'm enjoying it a lot, and anytime I've ever mentioned Hand of Fate, I've always been like, you should try it out if this sounds interesting to you, and just understand that there's going to be a lot of different elements of gameplay. It's not going to be one set thing. If you look up Hand of Fate 2's reviews and stuff, it's got really high reviews out there on Steam and whatever. I think it's like 81 on Metacritic, but I mean, like pretty much everything has a really high review for it. A lot of people really like this game.
Well, I forget, was the first game roguelike, or did it have like a defined campaign?
It was a roguelike also, because it had that same setup of having a board that, like the elements of what you came across depended both on, like the dealer's preset things, as well as your cards and what you deal in. Yeah. So I think this one is a little bit more open than the original, but it has been a while since I played the original. So I may be misremembering that.
Yeah. It sounds like they did not sleep whatsoever on like justifying this as a sequel.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good. It's definitely got some improvements over the original game, like with the addition of like the more flexible campaign mode that they've got, the endless mode, all these other modes that they added in, the companion characters and things like that. They've really buffed it up, but they built it on a solid base of that initial game that they had made. And so, yeah, I mean, like it's got like a 9 out of 10 review on Steam and stuff like that. So like, I mean, people like it. It's a good game. So cool. I will be playing more of that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And is that all?
That is it.
Cool. David, I want to hear what you've been playing.
Sure. So, let's see here. I've had a ton of time to game, but I did pick up Shadow of War, Middle-earth Shadow of War on the cheap.
Man, I have not heard I have not heard anybody talk about that.
Tell us about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it picks up pretty much right where the previous game ends, by which I mean about to go totally off the rails.
Okay.
Because it ends with, or it begins rather, with you creating a new ring of power.
Brr?
Yeah, and then you quickly lose it so that you can have a tutorial act, and then gain again, and basically get to recruiting orcs to form an army and take over Mordor. so this I don't know. This game, I guess at the outset I'll say, like, the game's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. It's got a lot of weird, like, on again, off again relationship with the rails. So
it's like our podcast.
Yeah. On the one hand, it's set. I don't know, something in the neighborhood of like 20 to 40 years before The Lord of the Rings, I believe.
Okay.
Which it would be like sometime after The Hobbit. And so, it's got enough space to not 100% directly contradict the established lore. And similarly, it still does a lot of like name dropping and stuff like that of some of the more obscure aspects of the lore. On the other hand, like the fact that you just instantly create a ring of power and become kind of over the course of it similar in power to Sauron seems a little weird.
It seems like something they would have made a note of
in the movies. Yeah,
yeah, kind of like what is that? So that Star Wars game, like where you played as
Force Unleashed.
Yeah,
where it brings down the TIE Fighter or the Star Destroyer and the planet. Yeah,
it seems like a Jedi or a Sith that powerful would have warranted mention. Yeah, Yeah, continue.
But yeah, I mean, so overall, the storylines, not really the reason to go there. Although I do have to feel like I have to point out, like, one of the less, I guess, overt but interesting kind of philosophical items in The Lord of the Rings is the idea that mankind is the only race that can actually die in Middle Earth. Elves and wizards and dwarves, can physically die, but they don't pass on to the afterlife until Judgment Day sometime in the far future.
Yeah.
And so the idea is that death was originally meant to be a gift that Sauron basically manipulated people into fearing. And so one of the kind of reoccurring plot items that I think probably accidentally, but does, line up with a major theme of the books is the idea that, the game starts with, your family getting slaughtered and, you getting killed and then sort of brought him back to unlife. And, there's a whole bunch of instances where basically you have to decide between, letting go and, going to the afterlife to be with your family, and you always end up choosing, revenge, basically.
Okay.
So, like, there is at least, one instance where they kind of maybe stumbled backwards into sort of having a meaningful, whatever.
Yeah. Well, in the first game, you were like a vengeance wraith anyway. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
you still are. Actually, I think my favorite, some of my favorite additions to the actual core gameplay is they do a lot more with your actual, kind of wraith form, or the character that's possessing you.
Mhm.
So, for example, it uses the Arkham style combat system. And so now if you attempt to parry an attack while you're already parrying another enemy's attack, what will basically happen is kind of your ghost form will appear and parry the attack.
that is very cool.
Similarly, there's a number of things where like you can get upgrades to your in-combat takedown, where basically you'll take someone down and then the ghost will appear and like take a second person down, stuff like that. And it looks really badass. It's kind of a clever way to add more things for you to do while keeping with the feel of it.
Yeah. You played the first one, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I actually beat the first one.
So, the question that I most want to know the answer to is, what have they done with the Nemesis system?
Yeah, so they've expanded that dramatically. They've added a lot, a couple of things they've done. They've added a lot more development in terms of orcs that come back after you've killed them.
Mm-hmm.
So
Ghost orcs?
Yes, exactly. Well, a lot of it is, the orcs apparently somehow have fairly, advanced prosthetics / cybernetics. So you'll often get, characters that either have like sort of like pseudo like steampunky robotic arms, or even like part of their head being kind of like this like bolted, I don't know, thing. Similarly, there's if you killed an enemy with fire, they'll come back basically as kind of these scarred like monstrous things.
Yeah.
And a lot of those, they do a lot more with that, changing their personality. And there's instances where sometimes things that normally would be negative towards an enemy, there's a chance that it'll actually cause them to they'll embrace it and become much more powerful. There's also a lot more just weird or unique stuff. So I've seen enemies that are bards that deliver all of their dialogue to you in rhyme. There's one of them basically relates all of his like weird dreams that he's had that you've shown up in. So about how like he had a dream that that he was flying, and then you appeared and told him that orcs can't fly, and he believed you, so he started falling.
So
yeah, I mean, it just ranges all over the place in terms of those sorts of just weird personality quirks. The other big thing they've added is you have the ability to basically shame orcs in order to lower their level.
Okay.
And have the ability to accidentally basically break their brains, which just results in bizarre behavior.
Okay.
How do you break their brains?
I mean, it's presented as you're more or less like pseudo like mind control, mind flaying them or whatever.
Okay.
And I've ended up, I actually have one of the orcs on my team, basically spends all of his time babbling about things being soft and supple.
But
Just, will come up and challenge you, and we'll see who is soft, but is also supple. Like, just weird stuff.
So based on your having played this and also having played the first one, like, why did this game just kind of like land with a thud? Like, why didn't this get as much of a response as the first one did?
So, I think a couple of things. I think one, and this was something that was definitely true of the first one. I can't tell quite if it's more or less true of this one, is the controls really have some problems. In particular, the gameplay is basically a mashup of Assassin's Creed and Arkham.
Okay.
And the problem is that the game sort of switches. In the Assassin's Creed game, there's a certain degree to which and I guess also in the Arkham games, where the game kind of interprets the inputs you're doing in terms of deciding exactly which enemy to have you home in on with your attacks, or exactly which bit of terrain to climb, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's very explicitly a changeover in its logic for how it interprets what you're doing between combat and out of combat.
Okay.
So the end result of that is there's been numerous times where I've died because I was on a platform and I just couldn't jump off it because the game, refused to interpret, what I was doing. Basically, the kind of game mechanics that keeps you from just falling off of platforms when you're trying to fight clashes with the game mechanics that often makes you need to do hit and run tactics.
Yeah, it's modal, and it's very poor about deciding what mode it needs to be in when. Right,
exactly.
Yeah.
I also think I think somewhat unfairly, got a bad rap for microtransactions.
I remember that. It was like a loot box kind of thing.
Well, but the thing is, and I don't 100% know because, they eventually, due to the bad press, they caved and took them out. So right. I don't know to what degree the things I'm seeing now were in originally, but from what I understand from reading some of the forums, it was basically a thing where there was never any need to actually buy loot boxes. They explicitly, in the game provide you with, numerous opportunities to, get the currencies you needed and stuff like that. And, I know now they've basically got a whole challenge system, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably that, I think that probably combined with, the story was never great, but in this one, it's just pretty much
not good. Yeah. I was going to step in and answer and say that I would say the reason why the second game wasn't as good is the first game you played for the gameplay and not really the narrative because it didn't exist. So when the second one comes out, it's like, well, I already know the game. Yeah. I don't really care about story.
Yeah.
Right. And, there's also, and it seems like, again, I can't quite tell because strictly speaking, I'm not sure anything's changed, but it seems like it's maybe a little bit more in the forefront, is there is some weird kind of uncomfortable dissonance in that, orcs are bad because they, want to kill and enslave people. So in order to stop them, you need to kill and enslave orcs.
Yeah.
And, there's just a bunch of, I don't know, it just seems more explicit. It doesn't help that the with the loot crates, you were literally buying slaves.
Timmy, Timmy, if he could, that cow would eat you and your entire family.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that fucking sucks.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's tough because I simultaneously I think that's a legitimate analysis of the game, and like that's that sort of thing. At the same time, I do think I do think though it's well within the bounds of like, well, this is kind of what you would need to do to have this gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a certain degree to which it would be somewhat like saying that Pokemon glorified dog fighting.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's in between. Like, I don't think it's bad that that those features are in the game and stuff like that, because it basically boils down to being kind of an army building sort of pseudo strategy game.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, like, it is a little weird.
I got a question about the gameplay, and so this,
Sure.
like, spoiler alert for the first game. Like, I know the way that was broken down is like the first half of the game you deplete like an army and slowly kill them off, and then the second half you replace an army and like slowly take them over and they become your agents. Like, when you start this game out, how is it? Are you starting with replacing people in the army, or?
Sure. So the very first act, which is again more or less the introduction pseudo tutorial, you're depleting the army, but then it very quickly gets into where you're building the army up. Also, a little bit of difference is, whereas the first one you were more recruiting people and having them like spy or backstab or stuff like this. In this one, you are much more explicitly like actually building an army and laying siege to fortresses and things like that.
Okay.
So yeah, like, I guess the only other thing I'd say about the storyline is it's a little frustrating to me, just because again the orcs, despite like definitely from an in-lore standpoint just being horrible, are basically really likable.
Well, because they've loaded them with so much personality. There's one talking about how supple you are. Like,
right, exactly, and you'll get ones that like you really like, and it's a little frustrating that your main character is just uniformly an ass to them.
So here's my proposal. If this whole Lord of the Rings thing doesn't work out, Capcom buys this studio and they use the same system to make a game in the Mega Man Legends world where the serve bots are kind of subject to the Nemesis system. Am I right, Jala?
I could see this.
Sure, why not?
Okay.
I mean, the gameplay is so good in this. Like, they just need to put a right skin on it and find like a compelling reason to like make an army.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a game that I almost feel like, as much as I really dislike where we're going with like the battle or the Black Ops, where we're up to 3 or 4 or whatever, where it's no, we don't do single player anymore. Like, this seems like a game that it would actually make a lot of sense to just release a version that was just double down on this is entirely going to be about dicking around in an open world and screw the plot.
Yeah.
I feel like they, like most games, they should just turn it into Subnautica, where it's like every person you capture is kind of like a resource that you're building an army of, and you can go after more valuable people like guards or whatever. Yeah.
They basically do that in a lot of ways.
Okay.
Your characters are often super expendable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Is that all you've been playing, David?
Yeah, that's all I've been playing.
Cool. Ben.
All right, it's pretty late for me this week. I've been playing No Man's Sky, kind of following in the footsteps of Dennis, because I kind of want to just go back and see how the game had changed. I do kind of agree with Dennis where it is a better experience than what I remember it to be. I think
Well, I mean, that's not exactly a high bar.
Bars low, yeah. Yeah, they definitely like slow down the pace of it where it's, and basically with the sentence I said a few minutes ago, it's basically similar to Subnautica now where it's like very much more about like finding resources and crafting stuff and kind of like slowly building up your things that way.
Yeah. With base building and stuff.
Yeah, that's right. They added base building, and that's like looks pretty one-to-one with like Subnautica kind of. I mean, there's different gadgets that you can add on any of the walls or whatever. And it protects you from hazardous environments, which it seems like there's more planets like that. I guess one small critique, and it's just a tiny one. I guess they apparently guarantee to start you out on a hazardous planet for some reason.
Yeah.
Just I guess to show it off or something. I thought it was a terrible idea though, because it's like on a hazardous planet you have to like find like shelter or whatever, and if you're not used to the controls of the game or anything, like it's putting pressure on you in an environment that you have not been familiar with. So it's like, you should just start them off on a non-hazardous environment and then make every other planet in that system a hazardous environment. That's like a natural progression or whatever. Anyway,
they also drop you on high security planets, so like there's just stuff that you cannot touch without the GTA police coming after you.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't ran into that as much, and I think there's like there's like a weapon system that I don't think I've unlocked yet in terms of like, so I know there's bases that in the original game you could just break open with your laser. Your laser kind of did everything in the first iteration of the game, whereas like now they kind of broke it into like 3 different like classes that your weapon can have, and you kind of have to like build and unlock each one. So one cool thing that they did is, so in the original game, one of the things you did with your laser is there'd be mineral deposits, and you could just shoot your laser at it, and that would get specific things like gold or whatever. And you could also shoot like animals or whatever and get different elements out of it, like carbon or stuff like that. They've kind of divided that into 2 weapons now. You have your base laser that kills like plants and animals and gets base resources. The other weapon is just a terraformer type weapon, and so that doubles up as a mining any sort of material that's on the ground, but it also doubles up as you can just kind of dig at will into the earth if you want to. So you can just burrow a hole in the ground if you want. I don't remember them having this in the original game, so correct me if I'm wrong if anybody remembers this from the first game. But one of the nice features of it is, for example, is I remember the cave systems being very much like a maze where it's kind of easy to get lost in the cave systems and not be able to find your way out. With this iteration, you can just shoot a hole in a direction and just walk your way to the surface, which is like really nice. Yeah, and it's cool that they added that amount of flexibility, and they kind of lean on it. So I guess I'm pretty sure it's a new feature because one of the things they added too is you can kind of find like lost treasure type stuff where they'll just have a beacon of where it is, and you have to like dig into the ground to find it. So they did some kind of cool gameplay elements with that, and it seems like a kind of fun mechanic. There's also ones where it's like kind of like basically ancient ruins or something like that, and you have to kind of exhume them with the laser by like basically brushing away all the terrain. So it feels kind of similar to like a Mario Paint type mechanic.
Nice.
Yeah. So far it's like it's a pretty interesting iteration of it. I don't have a lot of money in the game though, so I'm like I can't buy any ships yet. I haven't bought any weapons yet, so that's like why I think it's like a much slower paced game. So I don't know. So I definitely think it's a game that I enjoy playing. Like if I have downtime for a couple hours, like it is like, yeah, it's surprisingly like it's like they just added Subnautica to the game in my opinion, or it's like it's just like kind of a nice like crafting system, and it's fun to kind of like explore around.
Yeah. It's really impressive to see how much stuff they've added for you to do, considering how little there was at the beginning.
Yeah, and it's not like an overhaul or anything. It's just like a few mechanics, but they do a good job with like kind of changing the pacing of the game or kind of like changing how you interact with the game. Yes, by giving you stuff to do, you are no longer incentivized to just go somewhere that will end the game.
Right.
And start you over. So
nice.
That's a good change.
Yeah. Is that all?
Yeah, that's pretty much the only thing I've been playing. I did start, let me look it up real quick. I did start It's the first game that Tequila Works made, the people who made Rhyme. It's called Deadlight. It came out a while ago. I think, like,
it's like a Metroidvania kind of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, in presentation and mechanics, it's kind of similar to the game I played before, the Black Force or whatever, the one other weird puzzle platformer game, Black the Fall.
Oh.
It's it kind of looks similar to that. I'm like, already I kind of have my doubts about the game. Like, it's a little bit of a clunky of a move / climbing system already. But I mean, but it's not bad, I guess, so far. So I'll probably play it a little bit for just as a game to try something new, sort of thing. But yeah, we'll see.
Nice.
Yeah.
So like
That's
I
all
said,
I
cool. Like I said at the beginning, I've been playing Why Do I Own This?
Mm-hmm.
I have two things to hit very quickly here. This past weekend, I streamed Downfall, which is the game that the person who made the Cat Lady made before the Cat Lady, then went back and remade in 2016 to add more connections to the Cat Lady and kind of the expanded universe that he created. I think it is a less successful game than the Cat Lady is. But it is still interesting, and if you played the Cat Lady and want more of that world, then there's nothing I think that would that would stop you from going in. It does have the scene that I laughed the hardest at.
Yeah, I know, you lost your mind, Cole.
It was late. So there's a lot of messed up stuff in the game, but part of your overall mission, you are tasked with killing these 4 memories of this one woman named Sophie. Okay. And you're kind of trapped in this hotel, and looking for your wife who has gone missing, while also trying to deal with this kind of demonic presence that's coming after you. The first one, it is Sophie as a young girl. And she says, like, hey, bring me this poison, and inject me with this poison. You do, and her head explodes. Yeah, it's like right there. It's not like a cutaway. It is just like literally out of nowhere. You expect her to like fall over, die, and poison. No, literally, head explodes and the room is covered in blood.
Well, I mean, that's how poison works, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That's what they call it. Poison, the noisy killer.
It's some of that Fist of the North Star poison.
Yeah.
When you really want to make sure they're dead.
So yeah, I would say play the Cat Lady first. I think it is a much more complete and affecting experience. But yeah, Downfall, neat. The other thing, just while I've been playing stuff on mobile, while things have been packed away, I played a new clicker game. I don't think it's new. It might have been around for a while, called Space Plan.
Okay.
It's super basic as far as clickers go. Like I think the refreshing thing is that it is not hooked up to in-app purchases at all. So it's not like you can pay your way to getting further in the game. But the idea is you wake up along with your AI friend on a burned out husk of Earth in the far future, and the only thing that your replicator will let you make is potatoes. And so you have to make potatoes that will generate energy to make bigger potatoes, and eventually achieve orbit, and then eventually fire potatoes into the sun to usher in a black hole, so you can coast on the event horizon and wait for the big crunch to take you back to the beginning of the universe. And then and then catch up on different versions of Earth. So it gets out of hand very quickly. It's very silly. It is super basic as far as clickers go. It just you spend your points, and then you set it down, and then you go pick it up again later, and then you spend your points so that you'll earn your points faster while you're away.
Wait, so isn't that not a game? Like, isn't...
The mechanics are as deep as most EA games today.
No, I mean, no, you're making decisions. It's just numbers get bigger when you're away. Yeah. So if you're not down for clickers, then this might not be a thing. But I was refreshed by its humorous tone and by the fact that it doesn't try and gouge you. So
I'm not actually against clickers. Like,
yeah.
I think it's like a cool idea where it's like just acknowledging, like, okay, this is going to be like a pointless like number tracker or whatever, but what can we do with that to make it fun?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it like literally as a genre that was designed to run in another browser tab while you're doing actual work.
Mhm.
It's a little bit weird to have it just like, as a dedicated app on an iPad, but like, I don't know, you take breaks during the day and you go back and check on your potato planet. Yeah. But that is all. I think it is time for us to button it up. How do you all feel about that?
I feel buttons.
The credit.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this. If you want to help us out, you know the things to do. Please tell your friends about us and leave ratings and reviews. That is a big thing. For me personally, you can go to hexcrank.com and put up a new article and a new video.
Yay!
Yeah. Talking about a game that I knew very little about going into it, Project Firestart. Kind of a forebear of survival horror games for the Commodore 64. Real neat. The game is. I think that the article's good. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have put it out there. But yeah, that is all that I can think of. Am I forgetting anything or missing anything?
No.
Okie doke. So I've been Kole Ross at Kole Ross on Twitter.
I've been David Minesmith on the level.
I'm Jala-chan, Fireheart Fitness, and or Neon Sky Studio in places.
And I'm Ben Merkel at Merkelby on Twitch.
Cool. And stick around for some titles. Literally, Jala, I had the URL for the birth of Baguette on my on my clipboard, and then I decided,
Really?
no, I'm not going to distract them. We have moved on from the Toadette topic. Titles. Who has titles for me?
I only got one.
Okay.
Shipper's gonna ship.
That's pretty good, actually.
You
I
said it, so of course you like it.
Do you have? Is there an apostrophe before shippers?
No.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to know how you wanted to style it. Go ahead, Dave.
I had Yakuza with horses.
There you go.
Waligi has transcended gender. That's a shame that's too bad.
Okay, I have that. I've got that as well.
And then this was one I did not get the joke, but I feel like would probably be a funny title if you did. Governor, and then whoever the hell the actors you guys listed were.
I forget. Who are we
Keegan
talking?
Key and Tom Jane.
Okay, go. Governor Tom Jane. All right. And Ben.
He just wants his social services back.
Okay, sorry. I thought that was a title you said.
No. I just have one title. It's Therefore Fetishized.
Okay. I have 3, so I also had That's a Shame That's Too Bad.
I like that one. That's my favorite.
Yeah. I also have Hi Howdy. And then A Complicated Relationship with the Rails. And that I took a liberty with that because I think the actual line was it's on the rails and off the rails like us.
Mm-hmm. On again, off again relationship with the rails.
Yeah. I like that. And on again, off again. I think that's what you said. I shortened it actually.
Yeah, David said it.
Yeah. How do you all feel about That's a Shame That's Too Bad?
I like it.
Okay,
I like it.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to go to bed.
Hooray
In
for
your
Ben.
new house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, take care, everybody.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.
Peace.
Thank you.